Hey guys, Martin here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so we just got the announcement for the EZAs for the first part of this Tau celebration. A lot of people had kind of predicted this once we saw the banner lineup. AGL Captain Ginyu, but we are also getting the EZAs for STR Recoome and Guldo and INT Jeice and Burter, the banner units. So this is very good. Proton had pointed out in the files that where the space was for the next EZA, there were 3 spaces like next to each other with the back-to-back like ID things. So I did see someone straight away, I think Monato might have mentioned it quite early on as well, that this could be Ginyu and both of his banner units, because this is the kind of thing we want them to do for buffing these teams. Like just EZAing Ginyu and not EZAing both of these guys would be super annoying, because like when else would they get an EZA? Would we ever get another like Ginyu Force sort of themed celebration in the future? So them getting their EZAs at the same time are definitely very, very good and very beneficial for this team. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and jump in and see what they do. I have not looked at the details at all, so this will be the information for you guys as well as my first reaction to seeing these. Hopefully they're good. I mean, considering we literally just got the Tech Kale and Caulifla EZA, and that came out as like them being pretty much the new best EZA TUR. Hopefully, because Ginyu, remember, was an argument for being the best TUR when he originally released. So let's go ahead and take a look. So obviously he leads Terrifying Conquerors or Planet Namek Saga, 170, additional key 1 and attack and defense 30% for Space Traveling Warriors. No real difference here. We know for like 200% leads now, their EZAs, they just get 1 extra key to the plus 30% category. So, you know, that is what it is. So passive skill details, attack and defense 200%, launches an additional attack that has a high chance to become a super, damage reduction 20%, then Ginyu Force allies 1 key, attack and defense 60%, and chance to crit 20%. So pretty good support, but unfortunately it's still just Ginyu Force. When attacking with 12 or more key, 150% attack and defense, which is pretty good. Per Ginyu Force ally on the team, attack and defense 20% up to 100. When there's another Ginyu Force ally on the team, attacks effective against all types and a high chance to launch an additional super. And then for one turn from the character's entry turn, or when HP is 70% or more at the start of the turn, chance to crit and damage reduction 30%. That's interesting. So obviously Ginyu Force allies, it doesn't say self-excluded. So with his own support, that means he has 50% chance to crit. He has 30% damage reduction. With the Ginyu Force ally on the team, that means he has 2. Well, 1 is a guaranteed additional attack that has a high chance to become a super. And then the Ginyu Force ally 1 is just high chance to launch an additional. So that means 50% chance he does an additional super, 50% chance he does nothing. Whereas obviously the first one is the preferable type of additional, where he'll do an additional normal at the bare minimum. But then obviously it has a 50% chance for it to be a super. Honestly, it's a bit disappointing that all of these parts of his passive are still just Ginyu Force. Like, especially releasing in this celebration, it would have been really, really good for them to make this Ginyu Force or mission execution. But yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate. But obviously with the right allies and everything, seems pretty good. Decent start of turn defense, obviously then getting a buffed 150 with 30% damage reduction. It's probably not going to be a slot 1, right? But certainly looks decent enough. It's because his super attack effect is that he infinitely stacks defense. Raise attack for 1 turn does immense damage. So after the first like couple of turns, if you get lucky with that super attack RNG, then his defense could be relatively good start of turn. But it's the fact he then gets 150 on super, which kind of leans to him not really being a slot 1 unit. So I mean, that seems okay. None of this really shouts out like him being super, super crazy. He is going to have a lot of stats, especially with like Ginyu Force allies, but remember, to get this max thing, he needs to have 5 Ginyu Force allies on the team. So that's a bit, yeah. And so then when he transforms into the Ginyu Goku, recovers 59% HP, once only, obviously, once he transforms. Key +1, attack and defense 250. Additional attack then becomes a great chance of becoming a super. Attacks effective against all types and 50% damage reduction. When attacking, attack 150, chance to crit 50%, and a great chance to launch an additional super. When receiving an attack, defense 150 and chance to evade 50%. When there's an ally whose name includes Jeice on the team, foresees enemy super attacks. So basically the parts of his passive that were like high chance for the additional super, or the later one as well, they're both raised to great chance, which is interesting. Bearing in mind as well, his active skill condition can't change. So to transform into Ginyu Goku, it's when HP is 70% or less starting from the 4th turn. But yeah, he has the when receiving an attack gets a defense buff. So after you stacked with him in base and then you transform, he could then potentially go in slot 1, because depending what his start of turn defense is, as soon as he then takes a hit, he gets an extra 150%. And then gets 50% chance to dodge, whilst also having 50% damage reduction. So that seems pretty good. And then yeah, just having a Jeice on the team, he has a Scouter, which of course we have the banner unit EZA as well. And then after transforming, his super attack is greatly raise attack and does immense damage to the enemy. So he doesn't get any defense on super, but he greatly raises attack, which means if you do get the turn where he does 3 or 4 supers, he's going to be doing like some pretty decent damage. So, I mean, yeah, he seems okay. Obviously, the biggest problem is him being restricted to Ginyu Force, at least in his base. Like, once you transform, he doesn't have that. But, yeah, a little bit disappointing, because obviously you want all these extra stats early on so he can be strong enough to survive and build up. And then once he transforms, it doesn't matter whether he has Ginyu Force allies on the team or not. So, I mean, post-transformation, I can imagine him being pretty good, but let's have a look. So, Recoome and Guldo. Remember, these guys were a super good, like, slot 1 when they came out, and, like, for Ginyu's team. So, let's see what we're looking at here for these guys. Leader skill, obviously not really important. Namek Saga 150. Attack and defense 200%. Damage reduction 30%. Great chance to go... Why? Why is it not just guarantee? Okay, well, it's the bottom part, isn't it? Great chance of guarding all attacks. Seals the attacked enemy super. After guard is activated, defense 100%. Launch an additional attack that has a high chance to become a super. When attacking with 12 or more ki, 50% extra attack and defense. For each attack received, attack and defense 20% up to 100. And then when there's an ally whose name includes Ginyu in the same turn, they have guaranteed guard, an extra 30% damage reduction before attacking, and stuns the attacked enemy. So they have guard and will have 60% damage reduction. Every hit they take, they're building up. They have guard. They get the extra defense. Like, I mean, they seem like they could be decent still, but like, you have to run them with a Ginyu. And also, this is after guard is activated, right? So they are going to be, if I'm correct in the way this wording works, right? This is not when guard is activated. So the first hit they take, they don't get this 100% extra defense. They get that afterwards. So if the first attack of the turn they take is a super, they'll take more damage than if it was the second attack of the turn, right? But I mean, they could still be good. Guard and 60% damage reduction is obviously a pretty good place to start, especially with 200% attack and defense start of turn. Ginyu obviously is providing that bit of support in the early turn when he's in base, which gives them the chance to take these hits and get built up. So yeah, I mean, they could be decent. They're obviously nothing fancy. They just are a guard and damage reduction like character. And their super attack greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn. Supreme damage and greatly lowers attack and defense. So, I mean, they're decent. It'd be interesting to see, though, with these kind of numbers, like in a difficult event, like say you jump into like Red Zone Jiren. By the time you get to the final phase, they're going to be fully built up, right? So they've got this extra 100% here. But like start of turn, are they going to be tanking a 6 million damage super attack? I don't know. I guess we'll have to see what the numbers are looking like, because it's all going to be down to when they're fully built up, what is their start of turn defense. Because if they don't get this extra 100% until after they get hit once, that's going to be pretty awkward for them taking like big hits. But yeah, I mean, they could be okay. They're very basic damage reduction guard, slot 1 tank, but we'll see. And then Jeice and Burter. I mean, these guys, I don't think they were particularly great. They certainly weren't like Recoome and Guldo level on release. So let's take a look. So they've got Space Traveling Warriors as their lead. Attack and defense 200%. Additional attack that has a high chance to become a super. 70% chance to dodge. Space Traveling Warriors or Special Pose allies, 3 key, attack and defense 40%. For every attack performed, they get attack and defense 50% up to 200%. When receiving a super attack, they have an extra 10% chance to dodge. So when they get supered, they have 80% chance to dodge, the super specifically. And then when there's an ally whose name includes Ginyu attacking in the same turn, they get an extra 10% chance to dodge within the turn before receiving an attack. So they have 80% until they get hit, and then it drops to 70. And if they get supered before they get hit, they have a 90% chance to dodge that super. And then all allies attack and defense 30% for 2 turns. So they've got 2 turn support, which is good. But yeah, I mean, realistically, if you look at their like defensive mechanics, they are relying on dodge, right? 200% defense start of turn, and then they build up a little bit by attacking. But again, like by the time you get to the end of a very difficult event, they might have enough stats based on everyone else on the rotation and potential extra support they're getting to be able to tank a normal or 2 without dying. But like, they're obviously going to die to supers. They do have the increased chance to dodge those super attacks. So, I mean, that's okay. But and then their super attack is raise attack and defense for 1 turn, supreme damage to the enemy, raise allies attack and defense 20% by 1 turn. See, the frustrating thing about this part of their design, so they raise allies attack and defense 20% for 1 turn, and they have this extra 10% chance to dodge before receiving an attack. Those are abilities that would obviously make them really good in slot 1, but very, very risky to put these guys in slot 1. I mean, I guess once they've attacked 4 times and have their full build-up, like, they're not going to get much higher than that defense-wise. So, if you put them in slot 1 at that point, like, that's going to be, you know, that's their defense and it's dodge or die time. 80% chance to dodge until they receive the first hit. So, I mean, there are certain situations where as long as the RNG was on your side, you could get away with putting them in slot 1. And then you get that buff for the allies, but it's attack and defense, so it is good. The only problem is, like, this would be fine if you were running like a Ginyu Force team, right? Because you could have Recoome and Guldo slot 1 on 1 rotation, these guys slot 1 on the other rotation, and then they both have a Ginyu on rotation with them. But the problem is both of these guys want a Ginyu on rotation for them to get their full passive, which doesn't really help when it comes to this celebration and the release of the mission execution team, where if you were running them like with Tau, for example, you're only going to have 1 Captain Ginyu. So, and then of course if you're running a setup where you have like Recoom and Guldo and AGL Ginyu as 1 rotation, and then Tau and someone else, let's say General Blue for as an example, on the other rotation, you've then got the spare mercenary Tau floating, which he doesn't really do much for the team as a floating unit. So, I don't know, this is interesting. I mean, just by looking at what he does, like, Ginyu is probably not on the level of Tetkale and Caulifla. And then the banner units are, like, I don't know, decent, but they don't seem anything super crazy. I mean, how well Recoome and Guldo are going to tank in slot 1, like pre-attack, like as the, you know, tanking these slot 1 hits. How well they're able to do that will potentially be the do or die for whether they're actually good or not. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Captain Ginyu, Recoome and Guldo, Jeice and Burter, Easy A's. Are they good? Are they bad? Let me know all your thoughts down below. But yeah, I guess we'll see how we get on. Once we get the data download, obviously we'll do the team building guide. I will do showcases for them. So yeah, hopefully they will be good, but we will have to wait and see. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.